checkers and pleasers alike. Welcome to our show, Checkpoint, the show where we discuss and discern the current events of the most recent episode of Check Please. Today we are discussing Check Please, episode 55. I would love to welcome our cast today. I am Keni, your fortunate host. Foaly as my co-host, hungry for fleshed out answers.
Om nom nom.
Xeno, our swamp witch monger.
That's me.
And Beardy, our beloved daddy DM.
Hello.
Hello, family. Hello, hello. So, a lot happened in last night's episode.
Yeah.
So we're going to start from the very beginning.
Okay, so we started off at the Dead Man's Rest.
No,
And-
not that far.
Oh.
So, as we are leaving Hishan, a stranger, the mysterious shadow from before, approaches our caravan, and specifically Vera.
Good choice.
Talking
Right?
about, this area is a little too organized, maybe it should be a little more natural, and hands a fucking chaos seed to Vera.
Yeah.
As Petravian looks on, just like, wasn't this my shtick?
He's literally not a druid.
I know, I get that, but it's just...
But he is the one who
Petravian.
plants things when he shouldn't be.
Yes.
That's true.
So, bless
Aw.
him.
I don't know. I don't know why he was so offended by that, I guess. Because I was like, you're just a palate. Like, if you just look on the exterior of people, I'd say that, Petravian just looks like the muscle,
Yeah,
right?
but that's very shallow.
Yeah, it's not a reflection on Petravian, it's a reflection on this eco-terrorist being really shallow and not looking below the surface.
There were spells cast ahead of
eco
time.
enthusiast.
Yeah.
Sure.
Eco freedom fighter.
I love
Potato.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
The rebels, the good guys from Star Wars.
Yeah. The resistance. the rebels again. Anyway. So, yeah. So that person was like, "Hey, you seem naturally inclined. I detect a shitload of spells on you. Here, fix this place."
Because here's the thing. Vera isn't keen on straight up just planting this to fuck everybody up. But they like having this tool that they can use if shit hits the fan and they need to. Also, Beardy gave me a cool thing. I don't want to waste it.
It's true. This could be used for other things, like fucking up the downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
If I were to spend the money and resources to make a lithogate in the
Right above.
Underdark or right above this, nuts,
Oh,
That's a thing that you can do?
you can make a lithogate.
Seriously?
Yeah, I don't know the exact process, but I know it's a process.
Yeah, I mean, it can be done, right? I mean, they were built before. Someone built the ones that exist.
No, I mean, I just never thought about it. I
Oh.
always assumed that was sort of ancient lost magics from the dawn of time, so on and
Corona's
so
old
forth.
enough to have that information.
Also, Mellifera is very old.
That's true.
Yeah. Mellifera's
It-
older than the lithogates.
I mean, I'm sure Eden could also have the information too if Petravian knew how to talk to her.
Wow.
He's working on it.
You say that like talking to Eden isn't like talking to your family dog, where you just
Seriously.
pretend what Eden's saying.
Yeah.
Oh, look, a
That's great.
squirrel has walked by. That must mean I need to do X, Y, and Z in that order.
Yeah, exactly.
Partially, yeah.
But moving on past this point, Vera now has that weapon in her pocket in the back of her sack. Later
bottle.
on, during our travel to Chongnai, Kurla presents Jiro with the bracelets that they had made / engraved by Livette. Shocker.
Yeah, huge shocker in that, you called it last time, and it's been something I've been trying to do for like 4 episodes.
I did enjoy when you said, I don't mean this as a insult. I hope it's not an insult. And I'm just imagining you getting this bracelet that says like Dunkelmere's bottom or something the entire time.
Wow.
Which is why I was cracking up during it. Because after that, I was like, oh, what's the worst thing you could put on there?
Timid's teeth.
Sorry about dying in a few days.
Reese's and Pieces.
But no, I obviously it's not useful at all for healing since he's like can take care of himself. But I thought it would be a nice thing because literally everyone else in the party has one. Chisel has one. Like if Chisel has this thing that says he's part of Fortune's favor and Jiro doesn't, that just strikes me as kind of rude.
I mean, Jiro hasn't been a member as long, so.
Yeah, but Jiro hasn't got in the way the way
subscription
Chisel
fee.
has.
Jiro also is still a member of his other team, technically, while he breathes.
Yeah, which Curler said and was like, you know, if it's offensive for that reason, or you know, I know that you are a part of the Lightning Blade, so don't feel that you have to have this. But I wanted to make the offer.
Jiro's too fucking nice to say no to anyone, I feel like. Even if it did bother him, I don't see Jiro saying no to anyone. He's like, I'm
Beardy,
gonna die, fuck it.
did it bother him? Should I have done a sense motive check to see how he took it, or a perception check to see how he took it?
He was happy to receive the gift.
If he can't say no to anybody, just tell him, hey, don't unalive yourself. And he'll be like, well, okay.
Got me there. It's airtight.
I didn't realize that the jade bracelet thing was coming from Riz, but I guess he's just getting lots of bling in the last few days before he dies.
Well, I mean, those bracelets are something else.
Yeah, I'll give.
Yes,
We'll get
as
to
we'll discuss.
I'll give him one that's made out of like this stretchy honey beeswax. It's yellow. It'll say "Live Strong" on it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Holy
Yikes.
shit.
It's named after a person who ended up
2005, I think.
betraying everything they stood for.
I was going to say, is this what Jiro's like running from? The dark shit that he won't talk about in his past? The fact that he was actually doping the whole time he was in ninja training? Oh dear. But yeah, that was. I was glad to get that out of the way. I was amused with Levette saying that they'd sneaked in the best bitches.
Best bitches in Quain.
No, damn it, that's our thing.
In Quail.
In Quail. That should be the name of the language. I like that. Quail. Can we canonize that, please, Beardy?
No, it's Quajan. Sorry.
Okay, fine.
Wonderful.
Alas.
You guys making fun of my fucking language, you goddamn bitches. Fuck you.
Yes.
Fuck off.
Okay, Quail.
I could kill all of you. Zayf at level 20 would be a terrifying person.
Oh god.
Yeah. Yeah, just wait. We might get there someday.
One day. We just gotta finish season 1 of Snake Eyes.
And then, yeah, from that, there was one other piece of business Carola wanted to attend to, which was to offer Vera the chance to chat with and maybe even bring back father, which Vera really reacted to in a way that I found quite fascinating as a player.
Is that right?
Do you want to speak to that, Xeno?
Oh yeah, well, because I don't know, Vera's already put, or at least attempts to put, her feelings about her father behind her, because by this point she gave up on the fact that he's been dead for so long.
The past is in the past.
Yeah, and just having that option suddenly show itself is a bit out of left field for Vera. Like, it's something that she never expected, so she doesn't know how to think about it.
Yeah, I will be interested to see if she does sit with it or if she just dismisses it completely.
Well, especially when it comes to terms with how Vera views actual, like, biological family to the High family. It's like, oh, I don't know if I can trust this person, even. Like, I don't know if they would have betrayed me later. So who knows?
Yeah, what did you make of the question that Curler asked, which was something to the effect of, are you worried that you'll judge them or that they'll judge you?
And that, I believe Vera responded, why not both? Porque los dos.
Mm-hmm.
But no, like, yeah. One, I don't even know if what Cormac knows with being in the afterlife.
Hmm.
Who knows? Who knows if they know anything beyond what they knew before dying? But yeah, that'd be hurtful to Vera if, like, her father figure, her father, that is, like, is disappointed in her.
And that's something I kind of tried to stress as well, the fact that it doesn't, like, undo anything. It's not resetting anything. It doesn't necessarily fix anything. It's just moving things in a different direction. You can't get that lost time back, and you can't speak for what he's been through in the interim.
What did I message Beardy during that conversation?
I'm sorry?
I messaged Beardy while you guys were talking about reviving him, and I was like, resurrection 2 OP, please nerf.
Well, I mean, I the kind of the inherent nerf is that it's up to Beardy whether or not they choose to come back. I just think presenting it as a potential option for the player, for the other character and the other player to consider, makes it interesting whether or not it actually goes through.
The joke was that season 3 we don't have it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
There we go. Bringing back people too strong, please nerf.
Please nerf.
I mean, it would be interesting. It could allow Cormac to get with Tally
His
again.
wife.
There was... Had Vera expressed more interest in the idea, there were going to be conditions about it, but...
Conditions?
Wow.
You know that Vera's very good with conditions. Anytime someone tells Vera, hey, you have to do this, instantly Vera's like hell I will.
Yep, that's kind of why there's a condition on it, which I thought would be really interesting, but...
Well, what's the condition?
We'll see if that comes up ever.
I
You have
guess
to-
we'll talk about it in the final checkpoint then.
Kurla demands that you pay. That's the condition. I'm not shelling out the 20,000 worth of diamond. No, that's not the condition.
I don't know. Didn't Vera give you some diamond dust in the past?
No, I paid for it.
Okay.
No, I gave you like 250 to 500 gold worth of diamond dust. I
could
believe.
have sworn I paid you for it.
No.
Kyle
I
keeps
deducted
track
the
of
money from my
thing.
inventory, so it's
Oh,
like...
well, I wish I knew that. I didn't have any money in.
I fucking gave you the money for it. Anyway, I guess Kurla like dropped it or something, and it just didn't get picked up. I don't know. Regardless,
You like dropped it in Vera's hand, but by that time Vera had already turned away.
It just crattles on the floor, and Riz comes over and just...
Vera was actually like bees at the time, and the coins just sort of slipped through the swarm.
Giving
Totally how it works.
25 of the bees concussions.
But yeah, I like presenting the option, even if nothing ever comes of it in game, just because it does make a more interesting dynamic between the two characters, and it gives your character like additional shit to worry about.
Yeah.
Just
As
what
if
I
you
want
don't-
Vera to have.
Yes.
I don't know. I always, like, the soul part of me is always like, leave my best friend alone. Stop bothering her. She has enough to deal with.
I also just thought it was like a glaring omission not to, considering I helped Petravian in that way, and yeah, I would have helped Riz in that way, and I offered to help Levette in that way.
But also, yeah, I don't know where Cormac's spirit resides. Does the spirit follow the body when it's buried? Does
That's
it
my
stay
understanding
in
of
the
the
location
way
it
the
was killed in?
That's surprising.
My understanding of the mechanics of the spell is that it has to be where the body is at its final rest. And I think Soul Seeker will only tell you where the soul resides in like the afterlife versus any like physical vessel for it still, so it would be tricky. It would be some investigative work to find where one could actually communicate with it. But
Because if I remember, there was one spell that Petravian or Screwy didn't read the spell description, and
Yeah.
it was you have to be where the person died.
Yeah.
I believe that it might actually, if it's where the person died and not where their soul is, then you know what? I'm going to look that up. But we can move on if you like.
Well, because I'm just thinking, if that was the case, we'd have to potentially go into some other person's house that they now own, which Vera's fine with. Vera'd be like, stay in the fucking corner. That's what to do.
I feel like this
I
is
have
a
business.
terrorist act.
This is
I
my, this is
misspoke,
my
it's-
fucking house. Fuck off.
It's
Freedom
not.
fighter.
You're quite right. You're remembering correctly. It's not
Freedom
where
fighter.
their body is. It's where they died, the place of their death, or in the soul's presence, which is why Kurla could communicate with Verla prior to all of the shit going down. But yeah, we would just need to sneak into your house, kill off the people living there currently.
Kill off.
Yeah, I mean, it keeps them quiet, doesn't it? We don't want them reported. It's much cleaner that way.
Not once you start casting your speak with spirit spell. Then they get all in the way. Gets all jumbly.
Ah, shit, good point. No, I didn't want to talk to you. I wanted to talk to you. No, you. Not, no, fuck. How many
Oh,
people
stop
died
crying.
in this goddamn
You
house?
just died. It's not that bad.
Do you want me to bring you back? I'll bring you back when we're done, all right? Have you got 20,000 gold lying around?
That's how the insurance companies get you.
Sure is a nice body you've got there. Shame if I... Anyway. Moving right along. I hope that does come up again, even if it's Vera like completely rejecting the idea. I think even that would be really interesting for Kurla to hear and for Vera to say, but I guess we'll find out.
We'll see if Kurla wants to after the talk we had later on in the episode. So
Oh yeah.
let's continue on.
Yes.
It's so far from now.
Well, because Riz had an interesting conversation with Jiro.
Yeah. So
Ooh.
late at night, after everyone went to sleep, Riz does a thing that they kind of do secretly here and there, which is collecting plants pretty much to make their teas. It's not really something I ever found important to bring up. It's just a subtle thing that they kind of do in the background, right? They've said before they collect, things to make teas in the past for other worlds, and that's what they've been doing through this travel, like going to all these different places. Well, in last night's episode, they went out and Jiro was with them, so I went and explained that a little bit, and they had a very sweet conversation, and Jiro initiated a first kiss, and it was super sweet. What's the
It was fun.
Was it because Riz said that he was precious to them?
I mean, it was the whole scene. I think just it was definitely working toward that moment.
Yeah.
I'm going to save my comment until later on in
Oh
questions.
my fucking god. Okay.
I just thought it was cute, and I was kind of like, now kiss, moving the two figures together, like, now kiss. I ship it, what can I say? The doomed tragic romance, it's a trope.
I've come to accept it. Though I did cry about it already several times in the past few weeks. Like, I'd be at work and be like, Beardy, I'm crying about this again.
Good.
I'd just
That's
listen to
good.
music and just like cry about it and be like, Zero's gonna die.
Mm-hmm. It's
I'm
like
already
that-
like, there's like this idea that a lot of people, when they're about to break up with someone, they already go through the stages of being broken up. Like they go through their phases before they even get to there because they've lost like the love of their partner pretty much, right? Like a lot of breakups happen because of that and other reasons.
We go through all the phases.
But yeah, a lot of times, like, they go through all the phases of breaking up with someone before they break up with them, and then they're just fine afterwards, and everyone's like, oh man, you're a dick and heartless. And it's like, no, I already went through my emotional turmoil of not being with this person.
The stages of breaking up, that was solid, liquid, gas, and then plasma.
Yeah, plasma. Yeah.
Cute.
Okay.
So I think personally as a player, I've gone through that already of Jiro dying. I'm like, oh, I've accepted that it might just happen. It'll probably happen. It's like a 76% probably will.
I mean, based on what he said at the end of the episode.
But
What was the exact phrasing? That it was his last... It wasn't that it was his last night alive, it was his last night with the party. Wasn't it? Something to that effect?
In the Vardo or something?
Yes.
I can't remember.
Or last night in the Vardo. It was... I think Beardy left some wiggle room. I'm hoping that he lives. I'm thinking that the chances of him living are quite slim, but I'm still hopeful. I guess we'll find out.
Gonna have to
But-
do with when you guys have a conversation with the Emperor. If you have a conversation with the Emperor.
I
If we
sure
get
hope
there.
so.
But we should probably note that a lot more than kissing ended up
Like
happening.
a day or two later. It wasn't the
Gasp.
same day.
No, you'd had the 3 dates required. It was
We had a nice flower date where we looked at the moonlight together, and but yeah, so the party, but specifically Curla and Vera hear a strange noise at night, which is very odd for the Vardo, for you to suddenly hear something in a different room.
And I don't know if Vera, did you, Xeno, did you see that? I nearly said see that coming, and that did not come out quite correctly.
No, we didn't get there soon enough.
Did you envision that outcome
No.
from that moment? Because I'm like, oh shit, there's a noise. We're about to be under attack.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, something else is happening.
Yeah.
Something relevant is happening.
Oh,
But it was just premarital sex.
Which gas.
Yeah, so the reason behind you guys actually getting to hear this is because Riz lost concentration, pretty much.
And would you like to explain why they lost
Because
concentration
sex
in
feel
that
good!
moment? What was that?
Sex feel good! Why else?
Yeah,
Man.
Jiro and his 6 inches.
Man, I wish Petravian heard it.
I do
So
too.
do
I wish everyone got to hear it, to be honest.
Wait a minute.
I wish everyone could have come out and just had this really awkward moment.
Oh, the exhibitionist streak in Rare's apparent. No. I was delighted by the completely different reactions from Vera and Kurla. Like Kurla spins around instantly, and Vera, you just kept. It didn't phase you in the slightest.
No, Vera don't give a shit.
Vera doesn't care. She's like the least important person to come out for that kind of thing.
I want to ask Grem and Scree what their reactions were, but obviously they are
They're not
sadly not.
here.
They're not here to ask.
They
But
are
I would
bins.
love to learn what their reactions are.
But well,
Would have been had their characters witnessed that.
as I've said before, Vera has very strange social standards that got all fucked up because of being raised half their life as a wild person. Practically.
Actually, the person whose reaction I really would have loved to have seen would have been Archie's, but Archie, before his cognitive decline happened. Jiro, why are you attacking Riz?
Oh,
Well, Riz was on top, so...
Riz, why are you attacking Jiro?
also, there is something else that happened before we got to the town, which was we got a little flash to Plu.
Oh, that's right. The Plu
Right.
story that Beardy had.
Was that before we got to the oh goodness.
Pretty
Because
sure.
Yeah.
Petravian had at some point burst in to say that he remembered when he last saw Plu, which was at the gate of Prota.
Like, this Plu subplot has only been important because Screwy will not let him go.
He will not let Plu live anywhere else but in his hand, apparently.
Which is kind of cute considering he was forgotten for 20 episodes.
I know, right? Like, he forgets about him, and then suddenly he remembers Plu exists, and it becomes, like, his main obsession.
Yeah,
I
it's
kind of love that though. It's so Petravian.
yeah, but I mean, giving you guys pets and having you forget about them at this point is becoming a tradition. So
Blue Regard Q Kazoo lives with Levette, as far as I know.
The bird.
Yes.
The canary
lives with
from the
Rella
mine.
at this point.
To be fair, I'd have a lot more Hummel stuff if Hummel didn't have the crown.
The stupid top hat.
The top hat.
Yeah.
Because that means that if I have Hummel, I have to have Hummel talk.
Yeah. It's been the bane of your existence, it seems.
Yep, so just no more Hummel now.
Well, he
Get
did.
away
He
for
did.
everyone.
He was looking for booze at one point, I think, in the episode.
That's true, he was just dancing in a bowl.
But yeah, that interlude with Plu being hunted by Chisel and doing the "I didn't kill my wife, I don't care" leap down into the waterfall.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
a reference that Kenny, I'm sure, is. It's from The Fugitive. It's an old Harrison Ford film. It's okay. We're old.
Man, I remember.
Just FYI, there are no swamps outside of Louisville, Kentucky. They made them up for the movie.
Huh. Interesting.
I remember back when I liked Harrison Ford.
We probably should.
Golden
Anyway,
days.
Anyways.
Anyway.
to Chunghai.
Well, no, I want to ask if Plu is still alive, but I guess we'll find out, because I honestly believe Plu is trying to make it back to Petravian. I believe that as a player, just as Kurla pretends to believe that for the sake of making Petravian feel better in that moment, even though Kurla's convinced that Plu is completely gone and will never come back.
Don't worry, it's very much a homeward bound situation.
Yeah, that's where I was. Yes. Homeward Bound, Incredible Journey. Yay. Yay.
I know Homeward Bound at least.
It's the same thing.
Let's see. We got
Homeward Bound is based on a book called The Incredible Journey.
Oh,
we got
okay.
Chance. We got
Shadow and Sassy.
and Sassy.
Yes. Shit, now I need to rewatch that. But anyway, yes.
Sequel.
I never saw the sequel, but everyone apparently saw the sequel and not the first one.
Yeah, the sequel. I don't know. We had the VHS of the sequel, and I always thought that was the first one.
All I
I've
can
never seen the
remember is
sequel.
Chance getting porcupined in the face.
Yeah, and Shadow almost dying.
Yeah, I remember them down in the ditch, or the
Mud
big hole,
pit.
and not being able to get out, and Michael J. Fox trying to convince him to keep going.
I didn't cry.
What?
I already saw the second one. I knew they were fine.
Ah, gotcha.
Literally going into the first movie, I was told, "Oh, this is the movie before the one you like," and I was like, "Okay, cool." And then he's like in this mud pit, and I was like, well, "I already know he's fine."
Anyway,
The second
The
one.
second one.
pet shenanigans aside, and the story of how Chisel fell out with Plu aside, although I really do want to find that out as well, we get to Chonglai, which is the second metropolis we've seen, and the third that we know that as players we know to be extant in Adrian, because there's the third metropolis I think you once mentioned was in the northern continent,
Yes.
and that's the city of Izmir, right? The new city of Izmir, or New Izmir.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll get to that later.
Okay. You should check out the wiki if you want to learn more. Shameless plug. But we get there! Or rather, we get to the shrine just outside, where Riz attempts contact with Bailong?
Bylong?
Bailong,
Bylong, I believe.
Bailong, the dragon, who is
So-
tragic.
Use all my fate points to talk to a dragon who happens to be underground. Do.
Hey, at least you didn't almost die.
That's
like,
true.
more. So
I was so scared.
keep
I
on
honestly
using all
thought-
those fate points. See what happens.
Why?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was going to be like another moment of constitution damage.
I mean, if Jiro dies, what's the point?
Oh, God.
I was seeing a lot of mirrored, like, images talking to Beilong and being like, oh no, is this my fate?
Oh no, the theme of loss is becoming more and more significant.
Oh
no.
Oh,
What's
dear.
gonna happen?
So,
Man, are
yeah.
all of my stories tragedies? Shit.
Mine?
Oh, mine. This is
Okay.
I only write tragedy.
Give it a few years, it'll
Shit.
become comedy. Comedy's
Yeah,
just
true.
tragedy plus time.
Yeah. Okay.
But
what they say.
does this mean that Riz is just going to like bury themselves underground in a huge mound, and the shrine's going to be
I
built
mean,
on top
we
of them?
don't know
Because
who
that's
they are. Maybe they'll get a shrine. Whatever they are.
But yeah, the conversation did not reveal much other than that Bailong is really, really severely depressed and in mourning and grief and poor dragon.
It was really sad. But the instance of describing that the energy he used was to be like in full bounce with the world, that you have to be from this fucking world. How mad I was. How mad I was. I was like, I've got the age thing. I've got the age thing. Just tell me how to do it and I can do it.
I thought that got clarified in the second conversation.
Yeah,
you had with
either
the dragon.
way. Talking to a
Yeah.
dragon. Fucking.
Which it would have been great had that been possible. But yeah, it can't be that simple, can it, Beardy?
I mean, do you really want Riz to sacrifice themselves to save the world?
It's not about what I want, it's what Riz wants.
I just
Or
don't want
from
the world
Kurla's
to
perspective.
end.
Yeah. Kurla would celebrate that. Well, I mean, they'd mourn, but they'd also be like, cool, you made that choice. That's awesome. While mourning. As a player, no, I don't want to see Riz go.
Let it
'Cause I like
die,
Riz.
let it die, let it shrivel up and die.
But that's also not up to me. If Kenny says that Riz is cool to die, then...
Oh, I mean, I lived through the entire season being like, I anticipate this character to maybe die. I don't know, because I don't know their past. So it's one of the possibilities. So I already mourned Riz's death like day one.
But is that the dice roll to determine whether or not Riz will... No.
It's a 6.
Yeah, let me roll.
You don't get to touch my dice, Kyle.
Oh, dear.
You
Pollute
almost gave
the
me it
dice.
a week ago.
I know, and I feel like it's been rolling bad just from being near you.
That's about right.
So we have this chat with Bylong and get the possible idea of transferring that power or that knowledge of how to achieve that balance, which we then find out doesn't really apply to Riz because they're not of this world. But then we head into the city, are met at the gates and escorted to the gates of the palace. Really awesome palace. I love the way you described it, Beardy.
Thank you.
The Mercury waterfalls are so fucking cool.
That was great.
That is significant for reasons I'll get into later.
Ooh.
Do these
Interesting.
people have a changeling problem?
Ask me later.
It's to tie it in with the Fortnite collab.
Oh my god, fuck off,
I
Kyle.
thought... Okay, so for some reason I was thinking of mimics and them being allergic to alcohol, but changelings are allergic to quicksilver.
Kind of? They can't
Is this
stay in their changed form when around
Is this a
Quicksilver.
Snake Eyes thing that
This
hasn't
is a
been...
thing I learned during Snake
I
Eyes.
feel like a lot
Gotcha.
of things wouldn't do very well in liquid quicksilver.
I was going to say,
no,
yeah,
it's
a lot
not
of things
in, it's
don't
just
do well
near.
with mercury.
Is that right?
Just being near
They're
it.
effectively allergic to it.
Okay.
So, like, just being around it, it causes them to have an allergic reaction, which makes them lose their shape.
Isn't
Poor
quicksilver poisonous? Like if inhaled, if I.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
mercury.
I mean,
Yeah, its
the one I
its other name is
experienced-
Mercury.
Yeah, it's Mercury.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
The
Yeah.
one
Is
I
it?
experienced
Oh,
was
I thought it was two different
contained
things.
in a ring in Snake Eyes. So,
Mhm.
no breathing.
Yeah, a little glass globe of it on a ring.
Yeah, it's the thing that Pador first found early on in Snake Eyes. Well, they didn't find it, but...
I
Yeah,
don't
it was-
remember that. Is that in an episode that's been released yet?
Oh yeah, that was one of the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
earliest ones. The one where Ferrith abandons Pador.
That might be why I don't remember it. I blocked that episode from memory because I was so amazingly pissed off at
Oh,
Ferrith.
Ferrith is awesome.
He's
I
an
don't know what everybody hates him
asshole.
for.
I fucking hate him. How dare
He's
he do
great.
that?
Ferrith is great.
Oh, I would kill that motherfucker for that. You don't do that to a child. Anyway,
They were 15.
even so, you don't do that to someone in need. But anyway, we get there, we go up to the gate, and we try to get in to speak to the Emperor, to whom we were supposed to bring a gift, apparently. No one told us. Whoops.
Whoopsie poodles.
Whoopsies.
And we don't have anything to give him, and Kura's attempt to bullshit their way in did not work.
Yeah, I mean, you said the line, and they're like, "We've already got one."
Which I
We got
loved.
enough of that.
You responded in the best possible way. I was cracking up. Oh dear. They're leaning into the
guessing Monty
diplomacy
Python?
thing, and it didn't work. And yes, Monty Python reference.
Okay. I got that
Yeah.
one. Cool.
I told him we already had some. But
But then
we do
had-
witness someone else managing to get in.
who we eventually figure out is the toy maker.
Yeah, when we creep on him and follow him and sidle up next to him, and yeah,
Whoa,
poor
whoa,
guy.
whoa. I said hi so that it wasn't creepy if we followed this guy. I was just like, hey, can you help us, broski? And he's like, just come to my shop. Maybe you'll figure shit out.
I was more interested in stalking him first, but y'all talked to him first, so.
In fairness, he
Vera
never.
stalking people. What a shock.
He never.
Yeah, so you guys followed this guy back and went to his shop.
He
and
didn't
looked
say where
around.
his shop was, though, so we had no choice but to follow him creepily to his shop.
It's true.
I mean, Riz wasn't doing it creepily, but okay. Were
So
y'all
You get to
lurking?
follow him.
Were you doing the creep on the way there?
Yes, do
They're
the
doing
creep.
Yeah. So you get back to the toy shop and you look around for a while and you decide to buy a horse,
They didn't have anything
toy.
for a Duvet.
and then also it gave some ideas to Levette to make some toys to attempt to give the next day to the Emperor to try to get into the palace.
I am curious about the horse thing. Was that with the metal to like make it do the kind of whinnying noise if you pull back? Was that based on anything, or is that just
No,
totally imaginative?
It just seemed like something that he would have done.
That's
Because
cute.
I wanted to show that toy maker wasn't just making crappy wooden toys. He always had like a little extra thing in each one of them to make them stand out.
What's the term for that? Like for old action feature, I believe it was always called, like on a
Okay.
box.
Yeah, so it'd be
Or like
something
an
that would be like in that a bubble, that would, like a spiky bubble, and it would say like now with kung fu grip, you know. So now with realistic whinnying sounds.
That was adorable. Though. Your inner like horse enthusiast was clearly on display there, Kenny.
Riz is a horse enthusiast.
Horse enthusiast.
Riz is a horse enthusiast. I don't know what you're talking about. It's true though. They have a
I also-
horse problem.
Oh, we
Well,
know.
yeah,
we know
their
about the horse
horses-
problem.
We think we know about the horse problem. We don't
Oh.
see the horse in the same way that Riz sees the
I
horse,
have a
and
lot
neither
of
one of
curses
us
on me, guys.
and neither one of us
Kaleidoscope.
knows what the other sees, which was fascinating to me because Riz thinks we all see it as a multi-horse, and
Yeah.
Vera
Like, oh,
don't.
That's why people are freaked out. They just don't understand the unknown.
Vera doesn't need true sight to see you need a new horse.
I'm gonna kill you. And I'm gonna have the wrath of an angry godling on me.
Old and busted, new hotness.
oh my god,
Get you some new hotness horse. Something with like a long flowing mane. Get a blonde horse. There you go.
That's just Jonesy.
I mean,
has
what's up?
I'm just curious if Riz has shown any affection towards the other horses pulling the carriage. Are they the same horses? Are they Soul's horses?
Only one is
I
Soul's
remember
horse.
if that was.
Only one is Souls. There's Rain, Bojangles, which is Marcus's horse. There's Wolfgang, which is Levette's horse, and there's Kaya, which is Vera's horse.
Bojangles.
Bojangles, which
But they
you
are
can
still all the
see
same
on the
ones.
cover for Necessary Help. That episode in season 1.
That episode. Yeah.
Right. So-
That was the one that was shot from the back of the hooves, right?
Mhm, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was
horses.
It was well blocked.
Thank you.
I like that.
I love all of your art. Levette does some industrial espionage, or rather gets inspired, and goes back and burns the candle at both ends to come up with some toy ideas, which they share the next day, in which the rest of the party merrily savages.
Just what kind of idiot would like these sort of toys? Like, come on. A toy you have to just keep building, and then when you're done, you build it again. Like,
I
never
don't
catch
get
on.
it, but it's fine.
It'll never catch on.
it'll never catch on.
Goes to first 3. Still included it, and that's why I failed.
Mhm. If you left that out, you guys would have been talking to the Emperor by now.
Already, yeah. We
Yeah.
wouldn't even have had to talk about Plan C.
Yeah, if you just brought in those tops, you'd have been done. Oh well.
Oh well.
So what? So why do y'all think the Emperor likes toys?
The child.
The child.
But then again, it seems like it's more about puzzles too.
Yeah.
So
I think
sure.
it's just like they are childlike, perhaps.
The childlike emperor.
Yeah, like it's a person who like acts like they're super smart. And anyways, they solved all the puzzles so far, so they're trying to get something more complicated each time, it seems.
And that makes sense if you're like
bored.
long-lived and you're like desperate for new.
that's why I feel like
Yeah.
Levette should make 2 hard puzzles that the Emperor will obviously solve, and then make an impossible one that has like a trick that allows Levette to solve it, so that they need to bring us in to solve the puzzle.
I still think it should be opening up a hell dimension, the lament configuration.
It's either that, or we need a Trojan horse style, like once you solve the puzzle, then we're able to VoIP in.
Yeah, like why don't you just like set up the cube as a puzzle, so that way he goes and activates the cube and you all pop out of it.
Yeah.
I'd feel like they'd see
And then they'd be like,
see that.
assassins! And
Yeah.
then
And then you're like, yeah, kinda.
Oh my god, no!
Then I throw
Depends
the
on how the
bottle on the
conversation
ground.
goes.
yeah, strike him down, take his place.
Yeah,
rule
become
Kin Tao with
the
an iron
emperors.
fist. Yeah,
Easy.
yeah,
Then we
that's
just-
great.
We're fucking doomed.
Then we can just tell the Bylong what to do.
Yeah, and be like order the dragon to do it, and then also be like, and Jiro, you don't kill yourself because we're the emperors now.
The alternate endings to the season.
Yeah,
The what if
The,
scenario.
the good ending.
I
Let's
mean,
do the mega happy ending.
Yeah, I do intend to have a nice little ending thing at some point. We'll see.
But we get rebuffed. We try and present the toys, and we present the toys. They get taken in, but we don't get invited in to share them.
No, we did not get to go in with the toys, so it wasn't that. But we saw the toy maker again, thankfully. So,
At which Hummel was able to crack the code and find out that it was puzzles.
It was puzzles all along.
yep.
Thank you, Hummel.
Thanks, Hummel.
Well done, Hummel. You're not just a twink.
Oh, he's definitely a twink.
Definitely just a twink.
Yeah.
Not just a
Not
twink.
just a
Defin-
twink.
Not
Definitely a
just a twink.
slut.
Yeah.
Also a
Fucking
slut and a
whore.
drunk.
Correct.
But also really good at espionage.
Or we could just ask directly.
Don't you mean SB-inage?
SB and oh boy.
I'm glad that you said it. 'Cause,
Oh,
Did we
Beardy's
ever
throwing
decide
up
if it-
again?
yeah. But at least there's some good news out of this. In that I guess Riz kind of proposed to Jiro using these jade bracelets.
Well, like I said, Riz understands how dire the next situation is going to be. That this may be the last time they are with Jiro in case things go badly. And they wanted their feelings to be known. Even all of this is a bit of a whirlwind relationship. They didn't want to leave anything with any regrets. So, the jade bracelets.
Which
Which-
makes perfect sense and was a really sweet moment. Kyle, you were gonna.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say,
something?
how long have Riz and Jiro known each other?
When did we do the siege of Fort Hawk? Because that was several months ago.
Yeah. But that was one day, also.
2 days.
2 days.
It was
So
2
they-
days.
Are we
You guys
are
spent
we
a nice.
just counting the days that I have been in presence with this man?
I mean, have you been in contact with him after those 2 days?
No, but I thought about him.
So-
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and then you guys spent a long time journeying from Ville to the wall.
About, like, what? Maybe a
Couple
couple
weeks.
weeks?
Yeah,
And then now you're proposed?
and then it's been, I don't know, 6 or 7, no, probably like 9 days, I think, since you guys got through the wall. Something to that effect.
So like a month.
So like 3 weeks to a month of like close time together recently, and then 1-2 days together a couple months ago for the siege of Fort Hawk.
But
So enough that he made a good enough first impression, I guess. And then these last month or so of time, they've kind of grown close. And I think just knowing that there's an expiration date on at least Jiro's life is kind of pushing this along to go a bit faster than
Well, 'cause
normal.
that's the other thing that I think about, because I think about those posts about people who get engaged on deathbeds. Where it's like, I don't know what the reason for that is.
Well, there's no tax reasons.
True.
Riz doesn't pay taxes.
But there is definitely that aspect of when you know you're with the right person, you know, and I mean, and that's such bullshit in the real world many times, 9 times out of 10, but at least in the fantasy world, it works, and sometimes in the real world, yes, you get lucky, you get the 1 out of 10, or even the 2 out of 10 in some cases, but I think it works really well in this context because of the way Beardy described the lightning blades and the fact that each of them is designed to take out a member of Fortune's favor, and Jiro is Riz's opposite, and that ties back in with what you were saying earlier, Kenny, about the yin and the yang, the 2 dragons and harmony there. Well, if they're kind of entwined as opposites, they complement each other, and so yeah, there is that spark of connection, and sure, it makes sense that they would want to move things quickly. To me, anyway. I mean, I'm still appalled that Riz didn't wait until marriage to
boo fucking who and all this purist bullshit.
to consummate things. I mean, that
Have
appalls
sex, kids,
me.
when you feel like it.
How are you gonna talk to Jesus
Use
now?
protection.
Leave room for Jesus.
Fuck Jesus, too.
Threesome.
He'd probably be into it.
If he's down for polyamory.
Bring Jesus into the bedroom. Fuck Jesus.
Anyway, sorry, Screwy. No, so it makes sense to me, and it was a cute moment. It was a sweet moment. And off that, Petravian and Levette and Riz, I beg your pardon, Petravian, Levette and Vera went off into the city, and Kurla and Riz and Jiro went to see the dragon for the second time and discovered that, as we mentioned earlier, that Riz, although old enough, is not of this world and thus cannot get that knowledge of how to achieve that balance and that energy.
But at the same time, like, in my half-asleep stupor last night, I was messaging Beardy and I was like, I know we just said, like, balance is called, like, true neutral of this world, but at the same time, is there not an opposite to harmony or balance? Like, disbalance or disharmony? Fuck it. Do not those things exist, too, at the same time? And what if it is, like, exactly the opposite? Then it would have to be definitely someone from a different world and someone who is disharmonious. Right? Right?
I don't know.
So you were pushing back against that then, as you were having this
Always.
conversation. But that was a non-starter, Beardy?
Well, it's an interesting question to think about it in those ways, because in my understanding of alignment and my understanding of the way these elements work is that the opposite of chaos's order, like the opposite of chaos's law, so lawful versus chaotic, that's your axis on that side of the alignment chart. If you sit in true neutrality, you try to create a balance between everything. To me, that it sort of epitomizes the kind of harmony that the Kentaus strive for. Now, it's very likely that they have strayed off of that path because of the death of one of these 2 dragons. And because of that, they've become incredibly ordered, more so than they ever should have been. But it's not making their place any less habitable necessarily. It's just making it a little bit unnatural. So it looks too much like a garden, too much like a perfectly, manicured place. It's makes it to where anybody who's come from the real world gets here and is like, oh, this place is really creepy and doesn't feel right. So that to me is what happens when you go too far toward the law side of things. So there was definitely that being you met, this year stranger at the beginning, who had noticed that Vera was effectively a high level druid and said, hey, you probably don't like this any more than I do. Here's this thing. See if you can't, fix this place a little bit.
And it is the first time that we've seen a sense of dissatisfaction or dissidence within Kintao society, assuming that that was a member of Kintao society and not someone external somehow in there and trying to exert influence.
Yeah. You haven't really gone anywhere outside of a couple of big cities, so There might be pockets of dissent here and there. There might be people that feel trapped in their role in society. You haven't really done too much to get to the bottom of those feelings, because it's a big country with a lot of people in it. You haven't spent time talking to every individual person, so it's difficult to tell.
And we're in the capital province. We're not in either of the other two provinces, where perhaps feelings are much different when you're that far from the center of the administrative world.
Exactly. So it's possible that there's dissent. This is just the first hint of it you've seen. But anyway, it sort of brings me back to what is the opposite of balance. And I mean, you can say it's chaos, but it can also be order, right? Like, balance has got to be that middle ground. It's walking that path of making sure everything is in equilibrium, in harmony.
So you could potentially take both, maybe. Maybe the opposite of order is both chaos and law.
Yeah, in in unequal proportions, effectively. Anything that unbalances things. Now, do you guys need to do the opposite for that ability to make the, to be your other half of the solution, to be the Kentao half of the solution?
Well,
I don't know.
I feel
Yeah,
so
we don't know.
sometimes.
Well, because I don't know what I don't know what that aspect of the two mega spells had to do with the Deadlands. Because obviously we know that the negative energy is definitely causing an issue. I don't know what the other portion is doing.
So I do remember I wrote it down, and I think I said it in the show. The effect the other spell had, what it did. And it was effectively slowing time down.
So it's okay. So it's like the stasis kind of.
Yeah.
feel?
So it was a stasis. Yeah, it was a massive stasis spell that was going to cause everyone on the battlefield to basically burn out their entire life in the blink of an eye.
Oh.
To kind of wipe out the other side in an instant.
I'm sorry, whose spell was that?
That was Hailong.
That was Hailong's side of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Do our characters know that at all?
I mean, you guys saw the flashbacks.
Dude, that doesn't help.
Yeah, but
So-
did we know about the stasis? Kind of.
Yeah, you saw that in the flashbacks. Because I remember reading that to the party.
After the fact information. Yay.
I'm gonna have to go back and revisit those episodes, because I don't recall that. I mean, I believe you, Beardy.
Because it was from Marcus's point of view, and he was trying to flee the effects of the spell. Because everything was slowing down around him, and then as the spell was taking hold, he teleported out, and was the only survivor effectively from the battle. And then he went back to his home nation, and they threw him in irons and blamed him for the defeat of the legions, and he swore revenge as they executed him. Blah, blah, blah.
I'm sure Prota's fine right now. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm sure they're fine.
We're fine.
They're fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's
totally fine. It's all fine.
Totally
fine.
fine.
It's all fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
They're certainly not fighting an impossible to win war right now. Yeah, so your candidates for who can cast the spell for y'all is getting kind of slim. Because Bylong can't. Her kids can't. And you had some interesting ideas. I think you mentioned a couple of folks that are of a reasonable age and might have the willpower or ability to do so.
Yeah, I was jokingly said Zell, I think. Or
no,
I think Petravian said Zell, seriously.
Vera said Zell as an option, but it wasn't
because he was an old dragon.
The actual thing that came to Vera's mind that is impossible for Vera to recommend.
Hildegard.
Or allow.
Yeah, I think someone said Matilda or Hildy. It was either one or the other, but then in my mind went to the other
Matilda was floated, Hildy was floated, Zell was floated, and Mellifera was floated.
Which we will get into. There was one moment during the dragon conversation that I did want to touch on, which was Kurla and Jiro having that quick interaction. Beardy, reactions to that?
Which one? I'm sorry.
Just the quick interaction that Curler and Jiro had while Riz was communing with the dragon for the second time.
Oh, about honor and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, trying to twist it around a little bit.
It probably hurt his feelings a bit, because it's something that is culturally important to him. And for Curler to try to shame him with that is probably not something that he appreciated.
I don't think shaming was what Curler was going for.
Shame.
But,
So much as just try and reframing it.
Yeah, but
Like-
he ended up probably taking that in the wrong way and in probably just avoiding Riz a little bit more for the rest
To
of that
try
day.
and spare them from
Yeah.
harm.
Yep.
Whoops.
Lol. Get wrecked.
Trying to fix things and making them worse.
Thanks, Xeno. Those arm pats really make me feel better.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
I helped.
You really did. I want to kill myself.
I mean, I hope it was clear that Curler was coming from the place of trying to
Oh, sure.
intervene on Riz's behalf.
I understand Jiro's going to kill himself. Probably as long as he doesn't run away, though. I might offer.
Ooh.
Because then he could be in the arms of someone. He didn't have to be alone.
Like,
If it really has to happen.
Risen, I don't feel so good. Disintegrate.
Not like that.
Oh. Now I'm picturing that, and that's also tragic.
Sorry.
You're
shut
doing
up.
okay.
Shut the fuck
It's
up.
gonna be okay.
I gotta get all the tears out, okay?
Well, meanwhile, while
Shut the fuck
Shit's-
up.
shit's going down with Bailong, I'm not actually clear on where Petra was at this point. Oh no, I beg your pardon. I'm not clear on where Levette was at this point.
Yeah, I didn't think Levette followed Vera and Petra, and she went off on her own thing.
Originally,
She said she was going to,
Graham
and then
said
she
that-
said she was going to do something else, actually.
yeah, it
think
seemed
she
like
was-
once we left, Levette was like, "Oh, I'm going somewhere else. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna walk around and get ideas."
Yeah. Okay, she was looking for like inspiration for the toys and the puzzles.
But originally,
Okay.
she was following
Yeah.
Petra and Vera, if I recall.
It's a
Yeah.
big city. Maybe she got lost in the crowd.
Yeah, we all
It is
found our
very
way
small.
back.
Sure, but yeah, we found some ley lines. I made sure I was trying to give Petravian the seed, but Petra's like, "No, you have to give me the seed." It's like, I'm already fucking on that. I'm being responsible.
Like, I feel like Petravian jumps down Vera's fucking throat, like, way too soon when she's like, "Hey, I'm gonna try to talk to you calmly about something." Vera! Vera!
Is it because Petravian, even after all this time, still has no trust for Vera?
Definitely has
trust.
no actual
Like,
trust.
does not actually trust Vera's.
And he guilts the
decisions?
rest of the party for not trusting Vera.
Mm.
Fucking gaslighter.
Like, it does feel more like with the thing, I trust Vera. Like, it almost sounds more of like trying to guilt Vera into doing the thing by saying, I trust you. So now you're going to do it, right?
I guess I read it slightly differently. I read it as Petravian desperately wanting to trust Vera and reaching for that, and so almost as if they're trying to convince themselves that they have
Potentially.
full trust in
do
Vera, even
better.
if they have that niggling doubt.
But
But
still,
who knows?
but still coming from the same source of not actually fully trusting Vera.
But can we blame him for that?
Yes.
Yes.
Not fully trusting Vera? Do any of us fully trust Vera?
Soulfully trust Vera.
Does Vera truly trust Vera?
Vera makes the right decisions now.
Now.
They made mistakes before, but now they're better.
Mhm.
Completely. And you've made mistakes once, you'll never make the same ones again.
Exactly.
That's how that works.
Soul
Totally.
trust Vera?
That's true.
Well, Sol's not here.
You asked anyone.
Also, Soul's an idiot.
They have a great intelligence score, thank you very much.
Sol also makes great decisions.
The best one for them.
Ah, dear. But
Well,
Cut toxic people out of your life.
But we did find those ley lines, and we did not blow them up. in the process, so that was good.
Thank you for that.
I was very concerned that if I went looking for them, it would just activate the seed. So I was like,
So, was it Screwy that said that you should find a ley line in the Deadlands?
Yeah, it
yes.
was.
That was
and
an
then
interesting
use the
thought.
seed on that for some
Yes.
reason?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
But there wouldn't be no ley lines because there's no nature there. There's no life.
Yeah, like they're broken or dry. Like you can think of them as spiritual rivers.
I guess by
And
the
they're-
point
they're droughts there.
we get back, it'll probably be close enough to the one in Wrightburg, so we can just use it then.
I guess we could see if we could work with the Edenites, if there's any way the Druid Order could somehow funnel the ley lines into there. But I don't know if that would have effects on nature everywhere if the ley lines were redirected to try to reinvigorate them.
That's gonna be really difficult.
But it
Redirecting
could
ley
do a
lines.
thing, because then we could potentially use that chaos magic to basically reinvigorate something in some way.
I don't think it was a bad idea,
Good.
personally.
Yep.
No, I
But I don't know how
It
long
was-
they would take. That's the
Yeah.
issue. I don't know the effects that would have on the land where we redirected stuff, which I'm sure that it could still be.
Phil is fucking
Brought
screwed
back.
either way.
I was delighted by that idea because it hadn't at all occurred to me.
No, I thought it was great.
So I think it was just really cool that
So you know that thing
introducing that idea.
in game design where right before a boss fight, they'll be like, "Hey, here's a chest with a healing potion in it,"
Mm-hmm.
and all the players are like, "Cool, I'm gonna take this and
Never
use
use
it.
it.
not use it for this boss fight." It's good to know that happens in every game.
So we're overthinking it, and we should just be using it for the most direct and obvious method. We don't know what the most obvious method is.
There was a little reminds me of a little story. Years and years and years ago, when I was a younger DM, I had a magic item that I gave to the party that I said was, it was I didn't give them exactly the understanding of what it did, other than it would help them in a bad situation. I gave this to them at level 2, I believe. And they kept this item and they never used it, and they kept it as like this fallback plan because they thought that it was going to be supremely useful in all situations. It's like, oh, this is like our trump card kind of thing. Like, this is our ace up our sleeves. This is our final thing we can use if we're ever completely screwed. And they're like, okay, well, any situation that gets bad enough, we can use this. And there were times when they would debate on whether or not they should pull out the item and use it. And that happened all through this campaign. And they started, they got to level 2, they had a conversation about it like level 8 and then like level 14 and level 16 or whatever. And as the campaign went on, they finally decided to use it in like one of the big boss fights at the end. And they finally used it, and I'm like, cool, roll like, it was like 4d6 damage, and it was like a little arcane pop, right? But the idea is, I gave it to them at level 2, when that would have been useful. And it's player mentality to just sit on these things and assume that they'll be useful in all of the situations, or that they'll somehow scale in power.
Well, so here's
I'm not saying you guys are guilty of that to that extreme, but it is something to keep in mind that
here's the question: what does Vera
Sometimes the healing
know
potion's healing
about
potion.
the effects of the Chaos Seed?
I mean, you would know that it is charged with chaos as like elemental chaos. You know that it would be relatively powerful, and that planting it at the intersection of some ley lines would be the most effective means to spread its power over a larger area.
Because the worry that Vera has is Vera does not want to harm the people there. They don't want it to blow up and just destroy people.
Oh
obviously.
no, it's not explosive or anything. No, it would just counteract the the order that's been imposed on everything.
Because I guess the question is, would that in and of itself be in effect almost like countering the Deadland spell? Like, because it used the power of Kintao, like the Order of Kintao, if I recall, the dragon did, right?
It used the balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would destabilizing it in that sense be in and of itself a solution to that? I don't even know. Possibly.
Based on what you were saying earlier about the society having pulled too far to the order side of things, yeah, it sounds like if we need the inherent balance and harmony of Kintao, then maybe we do need to introduce that chaos to bring it back to that harmonious place. So, I think you're on the right track there, Xeno. That's really interesting.
Well, we'll have to see.
We'll have to see.
Obviously, like, Vera doesn't know what the effects will be in particular, so they're worried about that. They don't want to have another Pentress situation, like bleeding all over their hands.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why Vera's saying, I'm going to keep this and use it if I think I need to. But also, then we got to talking about Mellifera, because originally Vera wasn't going to say, said, yeah, Zell, maybe Zell would, and then Petravian's like, no, say it.
He's so aggressive.
I want you to
sometimes. Say it. Like, the rest of us are like, what is it, Vera? Like, I didn't even think it was going to be that heartfelt or anything. I was just like, oh, is that like something scary and bad? I just wanted to know, and I feel like the rest of us are super gentle with that questioning. And then Petravian's like, what is it? And I was like, Jesus Christ, dude.
Not only
have
that,
a chill button.
Also, Petravian could have just said it, because Petravian knew.
Did he know?
Yeah, because that's why he's like, say it. You know what it is. Maybe?
I don't think he did.
No?
I don't think he did.
I felt like he did. I honestly felt
did.
like he did. And that he felt it was important for Vera to be the one to say it rather than him.
I
That's
thought
the
I
impression
saw
I
it.
got.
I thought I saw it in Screwy's eyes. Where is it?
Same.
That's the anger I see. Whenever someone's eyes open that wide, my instinct is this person's crazy.
That's what I got from that as well.
Which? The anger?
Yeah, that Screwy was fully well aware that it was Mellifera, and he wanted Vera to be the one
to offer it.
Yeah.
Which Vera said, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Which,
Absolutely not.
because it's literally the last option that Vera would ever do, because Vera would never do it.
And that kind of got Kurla pissed off.
Is that right?
A little bit.
Why is that?
It kind of touched on like 4 different things that would really, I don't want to use the word trigger, but they are touchy points with Kurla for what I hope are obvious reasons by now. Making that decision for Mellifera instead of like even cluing them into it being a possibility and letting Mellifera decide. So deciding for someone else what's in their best interests. That's a big one. Riz being ready to just act, I beg your pardon, Vera being ready to act unilaterally and deciding what is best, again, for everyone else if they decide it's best to use that in extremis. Huge concern. Vera not seeming like they were considering the possible harm and damage to society. Like, innocent people maybe getting hurt, and that coming across as, well, shit, this is going to be the Pentress Estates all over again, to Kurla. And then Petravian following along, like, blindly and not questioning Vera's judgment in that, or pushing back against it, and just stating blind trust. Well, blind trust in an authority figure, and not thinking for oneself, with who knows what potential outcome. So, like, as I say, 4 things in that moment, all of which did not sit at all well with Curler to witness in Vera and Petravian.
I think Riz understood Vera's point of view, because they wouldn't have risked any of their gods, obviously. I mean, obviously they have all of them, but they understand from that standpoint. They're like, of course, I'd never risk my family. So I understand why you would not want to either.
Yeah. I mean, I get it as a player, certainly, but I think in that moment, that was certainly where Curler was coming from.
I was explaining that as from Riz's point of view.
I gotcha.
I know that Screw was talking about at one point about how he's wondering about how close of a connection Vera actually has then to the Hive and like Reduvi and Petravian, if they're willing to potentially risk them to keep Mellifera safe. But to me, I feel like Vera doesn't see a world without Mellifera as being a world worth living in anyways. So it would just be another death for her family either way.
Which, yeah, is going to strike Curler as an intensely self-centered choice, or rather a choice that's prioritizing their wants over the needs of everyone else. So that just leads to some really interesting tension between the two. What were your thoughts on that interaction and that tension between the two characters? Because I've kind of explained where you've explained where Vera was coming from, and I've explained where Curler was coming from. But what are your thoughts on the fact that that is now coming to a head?
Well, I mean, I don't know what thoughts I can put in. Like, obviously, it's interesting, but it's not something that Vera can even budge on. It is so ingrained in their zealot nature. It's not even like literally. Vera would first try to find a way that she could potentially utilize the power herself. She would rather herself die first than have Mellifera die. Whether that means becoming a aspect of Mellifera through the royal honey, which would technically destroy their soul and their body at the same time, but give them a lot of energy. And if Mellifera does die, I can guarantee Vera's not going to be around much longer.
It's fascinating to me that Vera's not willing to even present the idea to Mellifera. That's the level of devotion they have and the desire to protect their sister. Because, I mean, Curler can certainly relate to that. If the idea was, well, Verla needs to sacrifice themselves, Curler's response would be, well, no, I'm not even going to bring that idea to Verla. You can't do that. Now, obviously, very different situation. Verla is not a bee god, but
continue.
No, just that need to protect family is certainly at the core of both of them.
And like I said I said this last night, but even though Vera calls Melly her sister and everything, Mellifera is far more Vera's mother in a way. She literally raised her since she was 9 to this point. So it's a lot even closer, and it'd be a much greater loss for Vera than just any regular like family member, which is why Vera does technically put her above other people. Even if she doesn't say she does. She does hire to this higher standard of like belief and love.
And it was interesting as well, just Petravian wanting to know if Curler trusted them, and Curler refusing to answer, because the answer really is no, because A, Petravian isn't thinking for himself, at least from Curler's perspective, and B, as was mentioned earlier, Petravian doesn't necessarily have full trust in Vera. So that makes it even worse from Curler's perspective. You're asking if I trust you when you don't fully trust this person but are acting as if you do. Like, why aren't you trusting yourself more in this? Why aren't you pushing back against potentially devastating behavior? It's like, when you start doing that, then yes, I'll trust you fully. But at the same time, they don't want to say that because that'll hurt Petravian's feelings, and they like Petravian. So, shit, tension is emerging.
And
Emerging. It's always been there. There's always been tension in this fucking group. I'm
This is
so
true.
ready for everyone to just die.
Really? But I mean, it makes for
Let it die, let it die.
It makes for compelling drama, though, does it not? I mean, it would be boring if we all just magically got along perfectly and didn't have perfectly valid reasons for the tension to
emerge. It's
emerge.
fine to have drama and interpersonal things. At the same time, I also think it's quite possibly we just have the most chaotic party ever.
I live for the
I know you-
inter-party conflict.
I do
Well,
too,
there we
but at
go.
the same time, I'm curious. I really am. I think about next season a lot where I'm like, I wonder if it'll ever get this bad.
In fact, whenever I think that inter-party conflict or like inter-friend like conflict has always been a large like I'm not sure what one of my favorite tropes. Even as a kid, a lot of times when I like had play sessions like with my Bionicles and stuff, there was always like inter-friend like issues like with the characters, like, oh, this one is corrupted and they need to be saved, but they don't know what they're doing. It's like, I don't know, that drives me. I like that like trope.
Can I bring up how I used to play with like my friends and stuff?
Yeah.
So if there was ever a scene we played with Pokemon toys normally. So this is the most I have. But we would go back and forth like out of our scenes and be like, "Ooh, what if your character did this?" And then we'd do it. And it was always collaboration. We didn't fight. Apparently, in comparison to my sister when we were growing up, my mom would always say how her and her friends always fought all the time whenever they played. And whenever I played with my friends, it was always, "Ooh, what if we do this?" That was before the tragedies and the trauma. I used to be such a good kid.
I thought you were gonna mention the mermaid game.
Oh my god! The mermaid game isn't a thing that I actually play. I am just aware that other kids did this. And I like enacting it as an adult because I think it's funny. Okay,
Oh, it's awful.
so
Yeah.
when you're swimming, sometimes like a kid who you don't know will come up to you and be like, "Hey, want to play mermaids?" Because obviously you're in a pool and that's what you do. And
Right.
they'll tell you what kind of mermaid they are. They have magical powers and like rainbow hair and a rainbow tail and stuff. And you can have magical powers and stuff, but you can't have their magical powers and they can't be better than theirs.
This
Also,
is a
you
thing.
can't have the same colors.
This is a thing?
This is a thing that kids do.
Okay. Okay,
This is a
cool.
very extensive experience I know of. But this is not something that I ever triggered because I stayed to myself because I was a shy child for the most part.
But no, I know that Screwy got some ideas from last night.
Oh,
that,
yeah?
that he is looking into. Because at one point when we were discussing the episode, we were talking about the bridge, like what it means. Because he's always talking about, oh, yeah, I am the bridge. I let people go to the other side. I don't talk to people. But what I had said is
He wants
that
like the least amount of homework.
what I had said is that Vera, that the bridge isn't Edenite to Vera, it's Edenites to the Hive, to Mellifera.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like,
Farrah
Yeah, I
just
agree-
happens to be the leader.
the
I agree
quote-unquote.
with that. I think Petravian will hopefully, to really take his place in the Hive, needs to be less behind Vera and more behind the Hive.
Mhm.
And yeah, it needs to be more between the Edenites and the Hive, not the Edenites and Vera, because
It's-
Vera, no matter how important they are in the Hive, is...
It's almost like the bridge is another word for the diplomat.
Or a connector of some kind.
I am curious, Beardy, just going back to the interpersonal drama between party members, how does that jive with the story that you want to tell, or at least guide, in this world that you have created? I mean, as the DM, the story that you're hoping to tell and where you would like the character to go. Obviously appreciating that as players we have agency and so on and so forth, but do you feel that there is a sufficient balance between the interpersonal drama and the ongoing plot, the overarching direction of the narrative that you're pushing or propelling?
Yes.
So there is a good balance. You're
But-
satisfied with the way that the story is unfolding as we are all telling it.
I tried to give everyone room to breathe, right? I want to make sure that I'm not just dictating a story, that y'all have ample and sufficient time to feel out your roles and to do stuff that I would never have considered. That's what makes it a collaborative experience, right? I'm not just reading you the plot and you guys go, okay, cool, here's the next fight. Roll some d20s, and then I read some stuff, and then there's the next fight. So I think that you all have had a decent amount of time to feel out your roles, and that's going to lead to interpersonal conflict if there's actual RP going on, because people disagree. That's natural. So having disagreements and arguments in the party, misunderstandings and things like of that nature are pretty fundamental to the experience, I think. And it's a good way to know that you're doing your job correctly, is that people are disagreeing once in a while. Like, if everyone's on the same page all the time, it's boring. So yeah, I think that things are going according to plan, if I want to use that phrase.
And in terms of pacing, I guess we are still on track for this to be our final 10 episodes of the campaign.
Thereabout. I mean, I don't want to put an exact number on it until it's done, but 65 is what I was shooting for, and I think that we're on track to hit that, because there's not that many more plot beats that need to happen before the end.
I'm hoping that we have time to wrap up some of the smaller character plot beats before the big bad battle fight.
Yeah,
but
you might have a little bit of time, but one thing is going to be, after the climax, I'm going to kind of write up an epilogue, and that's not going to be as interactive. That's going to be like, after the events of everything you've done, this is what happens to the world, because I'm going to be advancing time between seasons 2 and 3. So I'm going to kind of use that as a way to cover the space between the seasons.
So if we've got character beats, we need to get them out of the way. Not out of the way, but we need to attend to them.
Yeah. But like I said, you've got about 10 episodes left, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. But that's roughly where I'm shooting for a campaign length. I was kind of going for that 65 episode thing.
Season 3 is going to be so long.
130 is what I'm shooting for.
Good
season
gracious. 3. Yeah. Well, I mean, two seasons worth in terms of what we've done so far. So, or what? Yeah,
Well, because more as going forward, all the seasons in the future will just be the campaign, right? It won't just be a change like we had before.
Yeah, I feel like the season 1 and 2 worked by having a 5-year gap between, because that's what made sense to the story at the time. That may happen again in the future. I don't know. Maybe there'll be another point where there needs to be a 5-year jump in the middle of a season. We'll see. I mean, I don't want to lock myself out of any options right now, but yeah, it's not in my active plans for any of the future seasons, because I think I have seasons 3 through 5 pretty well in mind, what they're going to be about and how they're going to work. And then I think 6 through 9, I have more of like a general understanding of how they're going to go, but not anything more specific than a couple of plot beats.
I have my characters through season 6 set in stone. That's it. And then I have 2 backup characters.
Well, in terms of... we're looking bloody far forward here, but in terms of finishing up episode 55 of season 2, after all the disagreements occur, Travian and Vera talk more privately. And I guess plan C, which was to use the Chaos Seed, becomes like plan J, H.
Well, that was more when we were talking
It
to
was
everybody.
still during the group talking.
Yeah.
Okay.
We talked about plan Q,
Yeah, Q is when
which is fake.
Petravian
There is no plan Q.
There is no plan Q.
I just set it to appease the Petravian.
Oh! Nice.
Plan Q is just pray for a Deus Ex Machina.
But no, I think there's going to be... I have a lot of stuff I might want to rethink for Vera in terms of the Chaos Seed. Just because I didn't really know how the order aspect worked, or how the Chaos Seed, like, if it was destructive or not. Which it sounds like it's not necessarily destructive to people. It's more of disrupting the energy of the entire region, in a way.
Yeah,
So-
it'll definitely disrupt the flow of energy across the area.
So I think I might have Vera kind of research more into, like, trying to figure out for themselves what the Chaos Seed would do. Try to consider how Vera sees the energy that is being incorporated into the Deadlands, and seeing if that would be a way to offset it. But on the other hand, if Petravian goes on the side and tries to get Mellifera, who knows if that'll speed things along and cause Vera to be like, oh, you're going to try to do that? Okay. As a way to stop it. Right there. Be like, no, okay, Mellifera's off the table. We're doing my plan.
That'll be fascinating to see how that resonates with the rest of the party.
That's
It
true.
would be certainly beneficial to Kurla's whole attitude towards the thing to learn that the dangers to people from using this thing are much lower than they might fear. They would be much more on board with it being used if they know that, if they have that information. But at the same time, if Vera goes forward with it because Petravian contacts the Mellifera on the side, which they have every right to do as a member of the Hive.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But
Yeah.
Vera also has every right to try to protect them. So,
Yeah, well,
because obviously Vera would try to explain it to the party that I think this might be safe to use, like, in terms of people living here. It's just going to offset the power. And it might be our only option for resetting the Deadlands.
it's a question of whether she explains that before the fact of using
Well,
it or
that's-
after the fact of using it.
And that depends on how much Vera, like, needs to, like, do the action, whether or not she's pressured into it because of people potentially wanting Mellifera to sacrifice herself.
Mm.
But I'm excited to see what Petravian does, because I think Petravian should talk to Melly if he cares about Melly in that way.
I always wonder about that. I always think that he always feels like he's actually worshipping Vera and not Mellifera.
That's a really interesting
Got
way
it
of
in
putting
one.
it. Yeah.
It's because of those muscles. It's because Vera can
Simp.
bench him.
Dim muscles.
I'm still not entirely sure how much of Kurla's excitement about Mellifera sacrificing themselves might go back to some anti-deity feelings. Maybe they still want to have a god killed off. I don't know. I don't think so, but there might be some aspect of that. So, more tension
Yep.
as we enter the end game.
Good.
And we're going to keep ratcheting that tension up as we get there.
Hopefully by the time we fight, we're going to... I mean, Beardy, you've said that by the time that we enter that big fight, we will be a unified party on the same page. I hope that is the case.
I certainly hope so too, but I mean, I could be definitely proven wrong.
Also, I might want to do it after Jiro unalives himself, so that he doesn't stab me for fucking up his entire
Yeah.
home.
Can't kill me for ruining your country since you're dead. Fuck you.
Yeah.
But as just a heads up, we do not have Check Please or Checkpoint next weekend. We will be returning on the 22nd of this month for the next episode of Check Please. So until then, everyone, I love you guys very much. Look forward to the Halloween episode on the 29th, and we'll roll with you later. Bye, everyone.
Bye!
Take care.